If you've been following me for a long time, y'all know that I have come up with a remix to the word politician and called them politrictions. And this guy, George Santos, is a perfect example of a politriction, probably one of the biggest ones to come out in the last couple of years. Now, if you watched Professor Black Truth, one of his recent moment of truth, he actually talked about this guy. This guy is the definition of a complete con artist, a complete fraudster. I mean, this guy lied about his work history. He lies about his finances. He lied about his religious beliefs. And managed to lie his way into a Congress position that, as of me recording this video, is still in that position when he should be relieved of that position. But I'm going to go ahead and read from the New York Times, and they're going to do a thorough breakdown of who this dude is and why he's come under so much fire. Ending a week-long silence, Representative-elect George Santos admitted on Monday to a sizable list of falsehoods about his professional background, educational history, and property ownership, but he said he was determined to take the oath of office on January 3rd to join the House majority. So he's not even officially in that position yet. He's just in the elect part. But even with all the lies, this guy is still confident that he's going to be in that position. The crazy part about it is he might actually still get in that position. But look at what the lies he had to tell in order to get to where he is. But they want to tell us that, honesty is the best policy. BS. Mr. Santos, a New York Republican who was elected in November to represent parts of northern Long Island and northeast Queens, confirmed some of the key findings of a New York Times investigation into his background, but sought to minimize the misrepresentations. My sins here are embellishing my resume, Mr. Santos told the New York Post in one of several interviews he gave on Monday. Embellishing is putting it lightly. You know how that Kellyanne card artists try to come up with that terminology, alternative facts, when it's just flat out lies? This guy, as I'm going to continue reading, you'll learn is a pathological liar. It seems like he is allergic to telling the truth. Mr. Santos admitted to lying about graduating from college and making misleading claims that he worked for Citigroup or Goldman Sachs. He once said he had a family-owned real estate portfolio of 13 properties. On Monday, he admitted he was not a landlord. Mr. Santos, the first openly gay Republican to win a House seat as a non-incumbent, also acknowledged owing thousands in unpaid rent in a years-long marriage he had never disclosed. I dated women in the past. I married a woman. It's personal stuff, he said to the Post, adding that he was okay with my sexuality. People change. The admissions by Mr. Santos added a new wrinkle to one of the more astonishing examples of an incoming congressman falsifying key biographical elements of his background, with Mr. Santos maintaining the falsehoods through 2 consecutive bids for Congress, the first of which he lost. Mr. Santos acknowledged that a string of financial difficulties had left him owing thousands to landlords and creditors, but he failed to fully explain in the interviews how his fortunes reversed so significantly that by 2022, he was able to lend $700,000 to his congressional campaign. I would like to know, where did that money even come from? If he owed all this money, where did he get $700,000 from? Mr. Santos also firmly denied committing a crime anywhere in the world, even though the Times had uncovered Brazilian court records showing that Mr. Santos had been charged with fraud as a young man after he was caught writing checks with a stolen checkbook. Like I said, this guy's entire life is a fraud. His entire life is a lie. I am not a criminal here, and he just told another lie. Not here or in Brazil or any jurisdiction in the world, he told the Post. Absolutely not. That didn't happen. But you were charged with fraud, though. Fraud is a criminal act. It's a felony act, too. In the court file, Mr. Santos is identified by his full name and date of birth, as well as by the names of his mother and father. The documents show that Mr. Santos confessed to the crime and was charged, but that the case remains unresolved because authorities were later unable to locate him. That's why. Easy. He fled. In both interviews on Monday, Mr. Santos also denounced reporting by both CNN, The Forward, a Jewish publication, that he may have misled voters about his accounts of his Jewish ancestry, including that his maternal grandparents were born in Europe and immigrated to Brazil during the Holocaust. "I never claimed to be Jewish," Mr. Santos told the Post. "I am Catholic because I learned my maternal family had a Jewish background. I said I was Jewish." Mr. Santos, who has repeatedly said he was religiously Catholic, but has also identified as non-observant Jew, told the Post his grandmother has recounted how she converted from Judaism to Catholicism. Mr. Santos, through representatives, has declined multiple requests to speak with the Times. Over the course of his campaigns, Mr. Santos claimed to have graduated from Baruch College in 2010 before working at Citigroup and eventually Goldman Sachs. A biography on the National Republican Congressional Committee website said he attended both Baruch and New York University and received degrees in finance and economics. But the colleges and companies could not locate records to verify his claims when contacted by the Times. In Monday's interview, Mr. Santos admitted to the Post that he had not graduated from Baruch College or any college. "I didn't graduate from any institution of higher learning. I'm embarrassed and I'm sorry for having embellished my resume," he said later, adding, "We do stupid things in life." Well, I guess that's just a simple way of putting it. But see, this is the way in line of thinking a lot of people like him do or have. "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. So what? I embellished on my resume." No, you pathological liar. You lied on your resume. Like I said, he lied throughout his entire life. I don't even know if this man has even told one truth. I bet you in a game of truth or dare, he would always pick dare just to avoid to have to tell him the truth. And if he did have to tell the truth, he would tell a lie. He also admitted that he never worked directly for Goldman Sachs or Citigroup, blaming a poor choice of words for creating the impression that he had. Past statements of Mr. Santos are relatively clear, however. An archived version of Mr. Santos' former campaign website, preserved by the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine, says he began working at Citigroup as an associate and quickly advanced to becoming an associate asset manager in the real asset division of the firm. Instead, he told the Post on Monday he dealt with both firms through his work at another company, Linkbridge Investors, which connects investors with potential clients. Linkbridge, he said, he had limited partnerships with the two Wall Street firms. The Times was able to confirm Mr. Santos' employment at Linkbridge, but in a version of his campaign biography posted as recently as April, Mr. Santos suggested that he had started his career on Wall Street at Citigroup and that he was at Goldman Sachs briefly before his time at Linkbridge. A spokeswoman for Citigroup declined to comment. Representatives for Goldman Sachs and Linkbridge did not immediately respond to a request for more information. Mr. Santos has not fully accounted for his employment during the years that he had claimed that he was advancing on Wall Street. In a separate interview with WABC Radio, he confirmed reporting by the Times that he had worked at a call center in Queens in late 2011 and early 2012. Yet even at Mr. Santos, whose victory helped Republicans secure a narrow majority in the next House of Representatives, admitted to some fabrication, his actions will likely not prevent him from being seated in Congress. Remember how Dana Loesch said a couple months ago when it came to Herschel Walker, saying, "I don't care if he aborted a bunch of baby eagles, I want the Senate." I bet you many of them will turn a blind eye to all of this just to maintain some level of power. I wouldn't be surprised. See, I don't even know if this is really going to hurt him like that. Now, I did read somewhere, and I don't know if this is going to mention in this article, but it's some organization who is with them folks that is connected to the Republicans, who said that he's like not invited or not welcome to come to their their events anymore. Notice they said anymore, which means he's already been. Democrats, including the outgoing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the next House Democratic Minority Leader Representative Hakeem Jeffries of New York, have suggested Mr. Santos is unfit to serve in Congress. Top House Republican leaders, including Representative Kevin McCarthy of California, have largely remained silent. And like I said, we know why, because they're torn. They're like, we know that this guy is bad for business, but damn it, we need him because we need to maintain power. The House can only prevent candidates from taking office if they violate the Constitution's age, citizenship, and state residency requirements once he has been seated. However, Mr. Santos could face ethics investigations, legal experts have said. Of greater potential concern are questions about Mr. Santos' financial disclosures, where he reported earning millions of dollars from his company, the DeVolder Organization. Mr. Santos disclosed little about the operations of his company, and the Times could find no public-facing assets or other property tied to the firm. Mr. Santos also did not list any clients on his disclosures, despite the requirement that candidates list any compensation over $5,000 from a single source. Intentionally omitting or misrepresenting misinformation on a congressional financial disclosure is considered a federal crime. In a video interview with City and State, Mr. Santos asserted that his consulting practice at the DeVolder Organization built upon the work he had done at his former firm Linkbridge. I had the relationships and I started making a lot of money, and I fundamentally started building wealth, and I decided I'd invest in my race for Congress, Mr. Santos said, adding, there's nothing wrong with that. No criminal conduct, no anything of the sort. Like, he's literally telling himself and his constituents that he's not committing criminal acts when indeed he is. Like, he's already formulated in his head that he's not a bad guy. That's like the textbook sociopath right there. The WABC interview itself was something of a political curiosity. Mr. Santos was interviewed by John Casamidis. I messed that name up. A supermarket magnate and a big Republican donor, and Anthony Weiner. Oh God. The former Democratic congressman who resigned in disgrace in 2011. Mr. Weiner asked Mr. Santos about his claim made in an interview last month shortly after his election that a company he had worked for lost 4 employees at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando in June 2016. The Times reviewed news coverage and obituaries and found no evidence that could support the claim. On Monday, Mr. Santos shifted his account slightly, telling Mr. Weiner that those 4 people were not yet employees, but instead were in the process of being hired. We did lose 4 people that were going to be coming to work for the company that I was starting up in Orlando, he said. Mr. Santos did not name the company or provide additional information to support his statement. Public records show that Mr. Santos had a Florida driver's license and was registered to vote in that state in 2016. Mr. Santos was mostly recently registered to vote at a house in the Whitestone neighborhood of Queens, but the house owner said he moved out months before the election. In the Post interviews, Mr. Santos confirmed the Times reporting that he was currently living in Huntington, New York, a town just outside of his congressional district. Members of Congress are only required to live in the state they represent, not the district. Mr. Santos also admitted that he was not, as he claimed last year on Twitter, a landlord who makes significant income from 13 properties owned by him and his family. George Santos does not own any properties, he told the Post, even though a financial disclosure he filed with the House in September said he owned an apartment in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And that's the whole article right there. Like I said, this guy's entire existence is nothing but false, bogus fallacies and lies. Well, I should say falsehoods. That's why I chose this picture of him throwing up air quotes, because that's literally what his life is. One big air quote with a bunch of lies inside of the quotes. But they're going to allow him to get in. I'm telling you, they probably going to allow him to get in. Again, notice they said that when it came to talking about, with Kevin McCarthy, he said that he largely remained silent. And I'm sure the rest of them are largely silent on it too. They know what this guy did was wrong. And they know what he did was illegal. And as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't be surprised if he still is. This guy's bad for business. Imagine he gets into the position once he officially gets sworn in. First off, he has to take an oath. For all we know, he gonna lie under it. He's lied about everything else up until this point. Like, this guy literally lied his way to the position he's at right now. And I'm telling you that this is exactly how this establishment is ran, because George Santos is not the only person, I'm sure, to lie about his life the way that he did. I'm sure there are many others, but it's just that he got exposed. But I'm almost certain that there's probably more out there that have a lot of skeletons in their closet that have yet to fall out the minute you open up the door. I can almost guarantee it. Again, George Santos is a perfect example of why I use the term politrictions. As if anything could not get more worse when it comes to the bed of lies that George Santos tells. This one right here has to probably be one of the darkest ones, because this time it's about his own mother. It says Santos' statements about mother's death 9/11 come under scrutiny. And if I wasn't watching Rob's channel over at Blacklight Revelations 2, I would have not have seen this. This blew my mind when I heard about it. So it says statements that Representative-elect George Santos made last year about his mother's death have come under scrutiny in the aftermath of a series of revelations about false statements he made about himself during campaigns for the House. In one tweet Santos posted in July 2021, he responded to an account with the display name 9/11 was a victimless crime by saying 9/11 claimed my mother's life, so I'm blocking so I don't have to read this again. But in another tweet that December, Santos said December 23rd of that year marked the 5-year anniversary of his mother's death, indicating that she had died in 2016. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of it because you don't need to read any further than that. I don't know about y'all, but I do know how to count, and I do know numbers. And I do know that 9/11 happened in 2001, and 2016 was over a decade after 9/11 occurred. So how could his mother have possibly died in 9/11 and she died in 2016, and I believe she died from cancer? I think that's what Rob said on his video, that she died from cancer. Like I said, this whole guy's life, his whole existence is a lie. This goes beyond just what I talked about in the first 15 minutes of this video. This is so dark and like dehumanizing. Like this dude lied on his own mother's grave, on her death. Like, why would you make up something like that? Why would you lie about your mother dying in a tragedy like that when so many people lost their lives that day? Like, that's crazy. I mean, like I told you, this guy has hitched his wagon to everything possible in order to get where he is, and is swearing up and down he's not going to get removed from his seat, or he's going to go and take his seat when the time comes. And the crazy part about it is, like I stated before, he most likely actually will sit in that seat, and they're not going to do anything. Now, Rob over at Blacklight Revelations, he did a whole damn near, like not even damn near, over 5-hour stream just talking about this. If you want to go and check that out, well, first off, just carve out some of your day. You might have to watch it in pieces if you can't watch all 5 hours, but it will get you through a whole work day, I'll tell you that. And listen to how he breaks all of this stuff down. It's crazy from what he did to the lack of intense and aggressive responses that are coming towards this dude for what he said, compared to how they went after Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, and even Whoopi Goldberg when it came to, them folks. It's night and day. It is amazing about how their lack of response is with him compared to how it was with the three that I just mentioned. And honestly, in my opinion, what he did was way, way worse. I'm curious now to see what other lies is going to come out about him. Not so much about him, but lies that he has told. Because if this guy will lie about how his mother died, he'll lie about anything.